There's a comfortable assumption a lot of people make about EB-1A, that if you check enough boxes, the system rewards you. That assumption is now out of date. In the last year and a half, USCIS rewrote what counts as qualifying evidence, approval rates fell to their lowest in years, and a brand new pathway opened that didn't exist 12 months ago. And a regulatory overhaul is sitting in the pipeline right now for this year. I'm a US immigration attorney. I work on EB-1A, EB2 National Interest Waiver, and O1 cases every single day. And this is the most movement I've seen in merit-based immigration in a long time. So this video, I'm walking through every major change that hit EB-1A in 2025 and 2026. What each one actually means, what most people are getting wrong about them, what you should be doing right now to put yourself in the strongest position. Let's start with the good news. USCIS updated its policy manual twice in quick succession, October 2024 and again in January 2025. Both updates expanded what qualifies as evidence of extraordinary ability. On paper, the door got wider. The January 2025 update is the one to pay attention to. Early career recognition now explicitly counts. Student competition wins, early career awards, recent achievement honors, those can satisfy the awards criterion. If you assumed EB-1A was a club you were too early in your career to enter, that assumption just changed. The definitions also modernized. Digital and online media, podcasts, respected online publications, and digital platforms now qualify as published material. Modern judging activities count too, like reviewing pull requests for a major open source project, evaluating grant applications, assessing startup accelerator submissions. Team awards explicitly qualify under the prizes and awards criterion. Past memberships still count, even if you've let them lapse over fees or move. And beneficiary-owned entities can self-petition, as well as being a self-petitioner, as long as there's real oversight in place over a beneficiary-owned entity, like a board of directors. And it's worth noting, several of these expansions ripple into O1A and EB2 National Interest Waiver cases. They're both getting evaluated too. So this isn't only an EB-1A story. So on paper, more evidence types, a real shot for younger applicants, a system catching up to how modern careers actually work, but here's where it gets complicated. You would expect broader evidence rules to push approval rates up. They actually went the other way. EB-1A approval sat around 70% in fiscal year 2023. They dropped to roughly 61% in 2024. There was a bit of a rebound in the beginning of 2025, in the mid 70s early in the year, back down to 67%. And by the third quarter, we were at 53%. So depending on the window you look at, you're seeing a real decline. This is not a blip. And requests for evidence, RFEs, are now landing on something like 40 to 50% of EB-1A cases. Part of the story is volume. EB-1A filings are up 50% year over year. More petitions, the same fixed number of visas. The 2025 EB-1 cap got used up well before the fiscal year ended, and the backlog of pending cases hit record highs. But volume isn't the whole story. The way officers adjudicate it shifted too. They're no longer doing a checklist review. You meet 3 of the 10 criteria and you're approved. They're implementing Kazarian standard. They're going deeper on the final merits analysis. Measurable impact in your field, independent recognition, sustained accomplishment. Meeting 3 criteria on paper is the entry ticket now, not the finish line. So here's the paradox, stated plainly. The types of evidence that qualify got broader, while the standard for how that evidence is judged got stricter. Wider inputs, tougher judgment. One thing I want to be precise about, because it gets misreported, an RFE is not a denial. The data actually shows that applicants who respond thoroughly to an RFE end up approved at roughly the same rate as those who never got a request for it. An RFE is a request to make your case clearer, not a verdict. Now, while the traditional path got more demanding, a completely new one opened up. The cold card. You've probably seen it in the headlines, but let me give you the real picture. It was created by Executive Order 14351 in September 2025. The official site is trumpcard.gov. It went live and started taking applications in December 2025 using a new form, I-140G. The cost is $1 million gift per person for an individual self-petitioner, or $2 million per employee for a corporate sponsor. On top of that, there's a $15,000 non-refundable DHS processing fee per person. The process runs in 2 steps. File the I-140G with proof of lawful source of funds, get vetted, and after vetting clears, you're invited to make the payment. Recent guidance says that payment goes to the US Treasury. A few things you should understand before anyone gets excited about this. First, applicants still get classified under EB-1A extraordinary ability or EB2 exceptional ability or advanced degree and then the National Interest Waiver standard. And USCIS has not issued clear guidance on whether you still have to meet the traditional evidentiary standards for those categories. The most likely scenario is that the $1 million gift or the $2 million gift will qualify as extraordinary, exceptional, or advanced degree, and then the National Interest Waiver. Though Gold Card website seems to suggest DHS makes that determination, the ambiguity is significant and unresolved. Second, because the program rests on an executive order rather than legislation, it's not law, it's legally fragile. It could face court challenges and could be unwound by a future administration. And third, a reality check on the hype. As of late April 2026, the Commerce Secretary said exactly one gold card had actually been approved. So whatever the headline allocation numbers are, the program is at this stage far more announcement than throughput. My honest read for clients who ask, for the overwhelming majority of people, this is not your path, and you shouldn't reshape your strategy around it. What it tells you is the direction of policy. The system is openly creating a fast lane for capital alongside the merit lane. Useful to know, not for most people to act on. If you're planning, look at what's already in motion. There's a regulatory overhaul in the pipeline. It's titled Petition for Immigrant Worker Reforms. The proposed rule is expected sometime in 2026 at the end of this year, and it spans EB1, EB2, and EB3. The core idea is take long-standing internal USCIS policy and codify it into formal federal regulation. Clearer definitions of things like a bona fide job offer, formalizing site visit authority for I-140 petitions, and modern standards. The thing to understand is that once internal policy becomes regulation, it's much harder to change. It locks in. Think the Kazarian standard. On cost, premium processing went up as of March 2026, so self-petitioned EB-1A with all of the fees go over $3,000. Without premium, it's about $1,000. Premium gets you a decision within 15 business days, but only at the I-140 stage. It does nothing for the I-485 adjustment of status step or the visa process, which has no premium option. It can take months on its own. And the visa backlog is a real thing. As of May 2026, Visa Bulletin EB1 is current for most of the world, but China and India remain stuck in final action dates of April 2023. If you were born in either country, that backlog should reshape your timing strategy, regardless of how strong your petition is. So the rules expanded, approvals tightened, the costs are going up, and regulation is coming. The obvious question, what do you actually do with all? Here's how I think about it. First, it always starts with your evidence strategy. It matters more than it used to. With approval rates where they are and RFEs hitting nearly half of cases, you can't file a generic I meet 3 criteria petition and expect it to carry to approval. The cases that went now tell a coherent story. Here's my impact. Here's who independently recognized it. Here's why it's sustained. Building the narrative doesn't not just stacking documents. Second, the new evidence types are real, but you need to be clear-eyed. Early career awards, digital media, modern judging activities are officially recognized. In practice, I treat them as genuine support, not as a substitute for the heavyweight evidence. I use them to round out a case, not to prop up a thin one. Third is timing. If you're from the rest of the world, EB-1A is current. There's an argument for moving while that holds. Go for premium. Your visa is current. If you're from India or China, the I-140 can move fast on premium processing, but you're going to be waiting at the visa stage regardless. So spend time building the strongest petition rather than rushing through it. Fourth, get a real evaluation before you file. With RFE rates this high, honest assessment from an attorney of where your case is weak is worth far more than its costs. And finally, this is the part people don't want to hear about, but should. EB-1A may not be your best path. A lot of people I talk to are actually better positioned for EB2 National Interest Waiver or for 1A for the time being and then transitioning to EB-1A, where approval rates have stayed above 90% for the 01. The right move isn't always the most prestigious category. It's the one you can actually win. So now you've got the full EB-1A picture for 2026. But EB-1A is one doorway in a much bigger system, and most people don't realize how many paths exist or how they connect. Click the video right here. I break down the entire US immigration system in about 5 minutes. Every major pathway, who qualifies, how they work, whether you're figuring out your own options or helping someone else with theirs. I provide a complete map. I'll see you there.